Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Proudfoot podcast. Today, I want to talk about some campaigns that I've run. So let's get right into it. First off, I've run a lot of campaigns throughout the years. I've been running different D&D campaigns since I was 16 years old. First started with 4th edition because it was brand new at the time and it was the latest, greatest thing. It was really interesting compared to what people were telling me 3.5 was like, which I never actually played in a 3.5 campaign because, like I said, 4th edition was the hot new topic. Everyone wanted to try out this new system, even though it got really harsh reviews for its time. And I think that's more or less a product of when it came out, not the system on its own. Following 3.5, it really felt like a completely different game, and that was where a lot of people's problems ended up coming from with that system, is that it was just so different. Everything kind of felt the same. Every class acted the same in a certain way. The mechanics were all very similar. You just kind of swap out the flavor. And then 5th edition comes along right when I go to university, and I've been playing that for the last 10 years. It's been a great time. It's been a great system, but D&D has its flaws. It's not perfect. I wouldn't say D&D is the best RPG that everyone should be playing it. There's other systems. My first system I ever played was Warhammer Fantasy 2nd Edition. So this is not 40K. This is a fantasy-based system. So it's like D&D in the sense that it's kind of Middle Ages sort of vibe, but it has its own lore and backstory. There's this whole idea of the Empire. Races aren't as abundant as they are in D&D, where you have 80 some odd races at this point. In Warhammer, there's 4, and it's humans, mostly elves, halflings, and dwarves, and that's it. That's what you get. I think there's high elves and wood elves as a distinction, but that's all you get. And then it's a skill-based system rather than a class-based system like D&D, where you pick your class and your class gives you all your abilities, so on and so forth. In Warhammer, it's more you pick your career and you get all these skills from your careers. And a lot of different careers have similar skills, so it's not like only this career gets these set of skills. No, you can get a different mix. And the other thing is you can have many careers, and it's different than multi-classing in D&D, where in multi-classing it really kind of pulls you into splitting your resources between different factions, whereas in Warhammer, multi-classing, or taking multiple careers rather, is kind of the thing to do once you get to higher and higher levels, because you kind of max out where you can go in a career, and then you move on to another one, and then you start accruing more skills, and you get better and better as a character, whereas D&D has this capstone where you're done at level 20. So those are some differences between those systems, but that's a little bit of a side. Like I said, I want to talk about some campaigns that I've ran, and I've been mostly running 5th edition campaigns for the last decade. Specifically, the last 2 years, I've ran a campaign with my friends privately. I called this campaign Raiders on the Wall, although that really has nothing to do with where the campaign went. It's where I thought the campaign was going to go. This was a homebrew that I just kind of improvised my way through. I made a world, a setting, and there were pieces in motion. And that's how I like to set up my games, because I, at the end of the day, am an improviser, DM. I have a hard time planning things out, because every time I plan something out, and I've done this many times, I've created plans, schemes, puzzles, structured combats, they don't happen. The players go in a different direction, and I don't like moving things around that were really fixated to be in a certain spot. So I won't move around certain aspects. Sure, I might take a fight that was going to happen out east and put it out west if they just went left when I thought they were going to go right. Sure. But I prefer to have things kind of come up naturally in the moment. And this has led to a lot of fun experiences in the past. The only problem I used to have was it's hard to create a long-term continuity completely improv, because then you have to have really good recall and long-term memory on exactly what happened throughout these long 3-4 hour sessions of a campaign. That's when I had the idea to start recording my sessions. And that's what ultimately led me to want to do a D&D podcast again, which is what we're going to be launching in the fall. We've already started it, and I've paused this campaign that I'm talking about now, this Raiders on the Wall. And part of the reason I paused that campaign is not just because I don't want to run 2 campaigns at the same time. I also don't feel like doing that. It's a lot of work. It's because the campaign we are doing as a podcast is related to the campaign we did privately. And there's a lot of backstory and lore and good RP moments and memories and impactful events that happened that kind of relate to this new campaign, but don't really. That is, if you didn't play in it or watch every single session live when it was happening, you aren't going to miss out in this new campaign. But there are pieces of information that are relevant. So me and the players from that campaign that are also going to be in the new campaign, which is called As Below, So Above, which again will be coming out in the fall, we sit down and talk about this old campaign, Raiders on the Wall, for 8 hours. We did it over 2 4-hour sessions, and I've split it up into 5 different videos. So we're going to have parts 1 through 4, and then the 5th is a reveal episode. So I tell them all the things that they really wanted to know throughout the campaign, save for a few things that are going to come up when we relaunch this private campaign after we're done recording As Below, So Above. Because there are players in this campaign who do not wish to be recorded and have that put out there publicly, so we're going to respect that and not put that out. But we will be keeping you abreast of what's happening in that campaign through updates like this and conversations with some of those players who are comfortable being recorded. Why am I saying all this? Well, one, we're launching this D&D podcast, and I'm really excited for the sessions to start coming out. It's been a lot of fun recording them. The players are having a good time RPing it, and I really hope you guys have a great time watching it when those finally arrive. Until then, we're going to be talking about the campaign. I'm going to talk about the homebrew rules that I've made up for this campaign. So I am a homebrew DM. I don't like using modules to make my campaigns. I also like meddling with the rules, getting nitty gritty with the mechanics, and trying out things. Nothing major. I am very respectful of the core rules of the game, such that if you start meddling with too many things, you're going to break the game for someone, making one class way too powerful and another class not so powerful as a result. So tweaking the game, you got to be a little bit careful. And I will talk about the tweaks that I made for this As Below, So Above campaign in another video, so stay tuned for that. Soon we're going to be rolling out these recaps, so stay tuned for those. In the meantime, thank you so much for watching this episode of the D&D Proudfoot podcast. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like on this video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of our new videos that are coming out, like the recap. Also, you can follow the D&D Proudfoot podcast on Instagram, Spotify, or Twitter. And as always, may the gods have mercy on your soul.